is Horror Sucks. I'm your host, Carter Rhodes, and joining me, as always, is your fellow host, Ian McGregor.
Hi, I'm Ashley Atkins. No, Ashley was exposed to COVID, so she's not here this week, and I missed her exposing me to her possibly being exposed to COVID by like 5 minutes earlier this week. It was really a lucky break on my part.
I do want to hear that story, but first, I do just want to say that in an unbelievably ironic twist of fate, the movie Ashley and I were supposed to be watching this week is sick about COVID.
There's a COVID horror movie?
Yeah, and it looks to be a parody of COVID, which is horrifying to think about.
You guys should just watch Contagion.
Yeah, Contagion would be good,
Contagion is the COVID horror movie.
Yeah. I'm just there's a scene in which, in the trailer, a girl's being chased by a killer, and she, is trying to get into the car to get away, and the woman goes, "Do you have a mask?" And then we're supposed to laugh at her, and I'm like, people died recently. And you're making fun of people for being too cautious. Maybe we could look back on this and laugh, but
not yet.
Yeah. I'm like, good lord, that's unbelievably tasteless, but we'll see. I do like the idea of a horror movie taking place, like a slasher taking place during quarantine. Because,
Yeah, because, you're kind of restricted. You can't do some of the things that would normally help you out during a slasher. There's no, crowded places, or, maybe you want to, I don't know, avoid going out as much.
Yeah, because slashers always start with you self-isolating. Mm-hmm. So it would be interesting setup is, call the police. They're like, it's just someone losing their mind in quarantine.
Yeah.
Trying to entertain themselves.
Yeah. Or maybe the premise of someone becomes a slasher because they go nuts from quarantine. That might be a little tasteless.
Yeah, but then it's a black comedy, and I'm like, this can't be good.
Yeah.
So, this is a very, very special episode. I have been looking forward to the Bye Bye Man for pretty much as long as this podcast has been around.
It's a shame that Ashley isn't here to see it, but she's with us in spirit.
Yeah, it may be for the best. I don't think she'd appreciate it like we would.
It is. I've also been excited for this episode. I didn't think it would come so soon.
Yeah.
So I'm downright chuffed.
Oh boy, when was this? 2018? 2019?
I looked it up because, well, I'll say why later.
All right.
I think it's around 2017.
That's when it came out, but...
Oh, when we watched it?
So
it was definitely on Netflix by then. So maybe...
At one point, Ian and I just had a horror movie marathon at his house, and great memory. One of the movies... First of all, we watched 3 good ones. It's Cabin Fever, Cabin Fever 2, Cabin Fever Remake, and then the Bye Bye Man.
Those.
Yeah.
I was so squicked out by Cabin Fever, but I guess that made them effective.
Yeah. And then we ended up with the Bye Bye Man, and that was easily my favorite.
All right. Well, let's dive into this.
Yes. So, just to give you guys a quick summary of how we do things in this podcast. First, we are going to give you a plot summary and some fun facts about the movie. And then we're going to break down the movie into what we liked, didn't like, and what we found spooky. And that's basically it. So, Ian has volunteered to do the plot very bravely.
Yes.
I want to really get into depth on this bad boy because...
All right. I am an obsessive note taker, so I will have all the details. All right. Actually, no, because I got tired of writing it out. So we start off with a long scene of a nerdy looking guy in I think the 70s in Wisconsin.
Fun fact, that was supposed to be filmed in one shot.
Fuck. Okay, that was that was one of my criticisms,
right?
Yeah.
Is no joke. The first scene we see in this movie is a scene filmed in one shot that was so bad that they broke it up into multiple shots.
Yeah,
after the fact.
I'll talk about this more later, but it would have been so improved by being a single shot. We haven't even said what it is.
Yeah,
Let's move on.
Yeah.
So this nerdy looking guy pulls out of his car. drives into a driveway, gets out of his car, knocks on the door. Someone answers. Maybe it's his wife.
It's just a friend.
Okay, it's just a friend. And he says something along the lines of like, did she tell you? And she's like, tell me what? And like, eventually he finds out that, yeah, someone told her, or that she knew his name, something like that. He goes back to his car, gets out like a really long rifle, and she like sees that and freaks out and closes the door, and he shoots through the door and kills her. Basically, he goes to like 2 or 3 other houses in his neighborhood repeating this while like muttering to himself like, don't think it, don't say it, don't think it, don't say it. Anyways, he just kills anyone who knew.
Mm-hmm. Who knew a name.
A name, yes, or who was told of the name. Fast forward to the present, we've got Elliot, John, and Sasha. They're college sophomores. They move into a giant house off campus of their university in Wisconsin. Elliot and Sasha are dating, and John is really crushing on Sasha. Elliot and John have known each other since like childhood or something.
So Elliot's parents died in a crash, and then John looked after him. I'm gonna pick that
John
apart.
the child looked after him?
John's family, I guess.
Okay.
But yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I didn't know that. When did they say that? Did you have to look up lore?
No. I will tell you how, but I'll tell it later because it's a huge part of my bad. Is part of how they explained it.
Okay.
So let's get into it.
I missed that. So they all have a house party, and Elliot remarks how super impressive it is that Sasha, quote, did this all on her own.
Yeah, it's
referring
just a party.
to planning the party.
It's like every frat party you've ever been to.
I like their string lights, but that's about it.
Yeah, they turned the lights down, turned the music up, and gave everyone alcohol. And he's like, I can't believe she put this together.
Yeah, Elliot's cool brother, Virgil, way too cool of a name.
It's really cool.
Virgil, his like kindergarten age daughter, and his wife come to the party as well. Virgil, I guess, is like a father figure to Elliot now that they're grown up. Seeing as his parents are dead.
Wait a minute. What the fuck? Yeah, that's right. He had an older brother.
It's possible that Virgil wasn't that much older than him at the time.
That's true.
You can't really have a 13-year-old raise a 6-year-old on their own.
True, but then why does... yeah. I guess
anyways, you can ask why he has a kid.
Yeah, well, why is John more qualified then?
Oh, I don't know. I don't know this.
All right, let's just power through.
So Kim, a goth girl at the party, holds a seance and burns some sage
with a fedora.
They say that they make some asinine comment about girls who wear hats inside being crazy.
Yep.
And anyways, so she has a seance, demonstrates that she literally has psychic powers by telling Elliot that his parents died and locating objects in the house. Then she has a meltdown on the floor saying, don't think it, don't say it. Wow. Connections.
So I think you missed out one important detail, which was that during the party,
John and Sasha.
No. Did we say Elliot's name? I feel like we
did. It's Elliot, yeah.
Elliot's niece goes upstairs to use the bathroom and finds this coin, and she gives it to him. So he goes to put it in his dresser, and he shuts it, and it falls out.
Through. It falls through almost.
Well, through the back when he shut it, which I thought was quite clever.
Oh, I thought it phased through the dresser, which I also thought was decent.
It was like when he shut it, it slid across and out the back.
All right.
So he pulls out the dresser to see the drawer to see what's wrong with it, and it is just scribbled with writing saying, don't think it, don't say it. And when he peels back the like paper coating, it says the Bye-Bye Man.
Yeah,
so
it's like carved into the wood. He knows the name.
And then the seance
the seance happens. Gosh, this intricate plot is too much for me. All right, I'm going to gloss over a lot now because there's a whole lot of nothing. So after that, Elliot and John, everyone who was in the seance just starts getting worse. Mm-hmm. Like, we don't see Kim for most of the movie. Elliot and John start hallucinating like visuals of like bugs or gore or of the Bye-Bye Man. Who,
meanwhile,
Sasha has a cold. Sasha has a really bad cold.
She coughs.
Guys.
She doesn't seem like she's doing great, but that's it.
It's kind of. almost objectifying how little happens to Sasha. She just has a cold and gets fought over because I should mention, these hallucinations on Elliot and John's part plays up like the jealousy and shitty love triangle that exists between the three of them. Okay, so these just get worse and worse over time as they're like going to class and going about their day. Elliot starts looking into the Bye-Bye Man. At the library, he finds...
Before we go too far, I do just want to say, as part of the, like, hallucinations, John saw Kim as, like, covered in maggots and stuff.
Yeah.
And he's like, he comes home upset, and he's like, to Sasha, you are clean.
You are pure.
Beautiful. Why can't all girls be like you?
It was so weird, but I chalked that up to the Bye-Bye Man messing with his head. He realizes that's weird, like, right after saying it.
Yeah.
So, Elliot researches at the library, and he finds one pulled news article, like an article that was written but not published, and it was written by the nerdy guy who was shooting everyone in the intro. He talks with the librarian about this, including discussing the Bye-Bye Man with her. She, I don't know, helps him do research. More of the same happens. We see Kim and the librarian, the other people who know of the Bye-Bye Man, going nuts and killing others. The librarian just kills her family for no reason and then calls Elliot like it's nothing. Kim is setting out to kill everyone who knows about it with a hammer.
Yeah, she actually was... She asked for Elliot to drive her to the house with...
the intent of killing John and Sasha. But on the way...
She full-on wrote a suicide note.
Yeah. On the way, while Elliot is driving Kim to the house, Kim hallucinates a car crash on the side of the road. It happens to be on the train tracks, but she doesn't care about that. She gets out and goes to, like, help them. Elliot doesn't see it, so he knows it's a hallucination. At the same time as he goes to chase after her, he finds a bloody hammer in her bag, and he just takes it with him to kind of like question her about it. Like,
What's this?
He holds it above his head while running after her. Kim,
Miss, you forgot this.
You forgot your weapon. While Kim is just approaching the car crash, an actual train like drives over the train tracks and just smushes her.
And also, as it's approaching, the conductor leans out the window and says, "This is my best recreation." No!
That was in my... I have like a weird pseudo-good list.
Yeah,
and that was in that. This character who we have never seen and never see again. I get it. When you have a train oncoming, you usually have that shot of like someone on the train being like, ah! Like I just watched Hugo and they have that scene a few times. But no, this is awful. It's literally 1 second of no.
As he goes, no! And then they're like, one take wonder. Next scene.
He did it perfectly.
They're like, why would we take another take? We got it.
It was so good.
No!
Okay, so that happens. Kim gets hit by a train. Cops swarm the scene. And as they saw Elliot chasing her with a hammer, or someone saw him, unimportant, they take him into custody. Elliot talks to the cop, and there's this...
Who's also Trinity from The Matrix.
I knew she looked familiar. They have an odd conversation that I want to delve into in my bad. Basically, she lets him go.
Because of the suicide note.
Because they find Kim's suicide note.
The note literally says, "I killed my roommate. I'm going to kill Elliot. This is why there's a bloody hammer in my bag."
Yeah, so great for Elliot. Elliot, I kind of forget what happens for a little bit, but Elliot goes and finds the widow of the nerdy news reporter from the start. He's like, "How are you still alive? What happened to him?" And she's like, "Oh, I never knew the name. Whatever it was. He never told me." And then Elliot's like, "What do I do?" And she's like, "Here's a gun. Go kill yourself and everyone you've told." And he's like...
And then she dabs.
And then he's like, "There must be another way." And then he just has a brain blast. And he's like, the Bye-Bye Man's power comes from fear. If we don't fear it, he has nothing over us. And then he like hallucinates the widow like lighting on fire and stumbling towards him. And he's like, "No." And she's just her normal self, like staring at him kind of weirdly.
I do, my favorite part of that is she catches on fire, goes, "Help me," and he looks at the pistol in his hand. Like, even if he believed it, his first move would have been to just execute her in her living room.
Put her out of her misery. No.
She just caught fire!
You saw how quickly she caught fire. She was engulfed in fire.
She could stop, drop, and roll.
Yeah, but she didn't.
That's true.
That's her decision.
Yeah.
All right. So with this knowledge, Elliot drives back to the house, and we see what's going on. Oh, Elliot drives back to the house, and he sees John standing in the middle of the road at his oncoming car. He's like, no, you don't. And he drives right through John. It's a hallucination. John fades away. And then he's like, haha, and he looks out the back of the car to like chortle at the hallucination. And then he looks back in front of the road, and there's the librarian standing with a knife in the middle of it, and he just runs her over. And then she's propped up against like a tree bleeding out, and he just looks at her and sees the knife in her hand, and he's like, bye.
And she's like kind of trying to still stab him too.
It was, oh man.
And meanwhile, he's like, the song that's playing is Bye Bye Love. He's like,
yeah,
bye love.
It's so awful, yeah. But I couldn't fault them for doing that because it was such a perfect... It was...
You know what bothers me?
What?
I do have this later in my bad.
We're still in the plot. Let's see.
Yeah. But they have this in it. That song has a lot of lines about jealousy. How clever would that have been if they played the jealousy, the lyrics about jealousy, and not the chorus? And you're listening and you're like, oh my god, this is Bye Bye Love.
I'll be honest, I didn't know this. That would be clever.
Yeah.
I didn't know the song before, so I wouldn't have made that connection. This movie is not clever.
It's not at all.
All right, we're almost done. I'm sorry. So while this has been happening, while Elliot's driving home, John, who I forgot to mention, Elliot smashed with a baseball bat because he hallucinated him banging Sasha.
That's right.
And John has blood coming out of his ears, and he was unconscious for what feels like at least an hour. John has...
It was light when he got knocked out.
Yeah, John has so much brain damage. Listeners, if you suffer a head injury and pass out for any amount of time, you have a concussion.
Yeah. By definition, being knocked unconscious is a concussion.
Yes. So John
to be
and
fair,
Sasha
he's the jock, though, so he's used to concussions.
Used to it. John and Sasha are in the house, and they are mutually hallucinating that the other is someone else. John sees Sasha as a bloody, zombified Kim the goth girl, which is less scary than it sounds. And Sasha hallucinates John as Elliot. So Sasha's like, Elliot, baby, I'm feeling better now. Give me a hug. And John's like, get away from me. Oh.
And she's like, Elliot, why are you scared of me?
This results in John running to get scissors from Elliot's desk in what I think is, I'm going to talk about this later, the worst Chekhov's gun ever. And
did they establish the scissors?
I'm going to talk about this.
I don't remember.
And John starts, the implication is John's going to start stabbing Sasha. Elliot comes home. He sees John on top of Sasha attempting to stab her. He knocks him off, and Sasha's like, do something, Elliot. And he shoots John in the stomach. It's revealed that was a 2-layer hallucination. And it was actually Sasha stabbing John with the scissors. So he shot Sasha. Big sad. John got stabbed a lot too. So John's passed out on the floor in a pool of blood, presumably dead. The Bye-Bye Man materializes. We haven't really talked about him much.
He doesn't play much of a role.
He doesn't do much. Imagine Voldemort, but he has a nose, and he's wearing a black cloak from a costume store, and he has a dog, but it doesn't have a tail or fur or skin.
The ugliest dog I've ever seen in my entire life.
They call it the Hound.
Yeah.
It's bad. The Bye-Bye Man comes, and the Hound is getting ready to eat Sasha, as it apparently does to other victims of the Bye-Bye Man. And the Bye-Bye Man just points at Elliot, and he's like, ugh. And then he touches Elliot on the forehead, and it's basically like he gives him a vision of, I'm coming for your family next. And just then, Virgil and his daughter show up at the door, and they're like, Elliot, what's wrong? We're here to help. Elliot's like, no, don't come in. And they're like, we're coming in. And he's like, no. And then he's like, the Bye-Bye Man is like psychically trying to force him to say the words Bye-Bye Man through the door. Bye-bye. And Virgil's like, bye-bye. Bye-bye what? I don't know. It seems an odd reaction. Anyways,
playing X-Files music, by the way.
Yeah, it's playing horrible techno music as the Bye-Bye Man approaches, walks toward Elliot with his finger outstretched. He does a lot of pointing in this movie, and Elliot's like, oh no, you don't, and he kills himself with the gun, which he still has. The police come. And, Virgil's daughter had to take a piss. So he's like, go do it in the woods, which she does, and then goes back to the car. Anyways, the police come, they clean things up. John actually survived. The same cop from earlier is getting bashed, like, hey, why'd you let this kid go? And she's like, he's a good kid. Something else is going on. And then John's like, and she's like, what is it, John? And he whispers something in her ear, presumably the words, bye-bye, man. Virgil's daughter is like, oh, I found that nightstand in the woods. Elliot left those coins for me. And he's like, oh, was there anything else in there? And she's like, just a weird note. And he's like, what did it say? And she's like, Daddy, you know I can't read in the dark. What am I, a flashlight? And he's like, oh, yeah, that's right.
That was spooky how word for word you got that quote. Right down to how she emphasized each word. That was kind of freaky.
I watched that scene less than an hour ago, and it's in my goods.
We didn't mention that Elliot's like, I'm ending this once and for all. He grabs the nightstand, takes it about 20 yards.
He throws it out the window.
No, he just throws it into like a creek, like 20 yards behind the house, and was like, done.
We see the nightstand has actually somehow been moved to like outside the house next to the trash cans, which I thought was noteworthy.
Well, he didn't want litter.
The funny thing is, a house fire somehow starts after Elliot kills himself. There is literally no explanation for this, but it would have been better for everyone if the nightstand was left inside the house. Yeah. Before the house fire started, I was like, oh no, what about the like notes that they've been compulsively scribbling about the bye-bye man? Someone's going to find those when they find the crime scene. But no, the fire took care of that. We just have a nightstand. All right. Let's move on with our lives. That was way too long. What now? What's next?
All right, now I'm going to talk about some fun facts. I thought you did a great job with that plot.
I have a fun fact first.
Okay. Wait. Before we get into it, I did forget. Throughout this movie, there's just constant train horns and like train lights flashing.
Yes, it's like a motif of the Bye-Bye Man.
It's never explained. I know what it is, and I will explain it, but in the story, it is never explained.
I'm gonna do it very early bad.
Okay.
All right. So the train horns, like between the Bye-Bye Man just being a normal, he's like pale. He's a little bruised.
He's kind of just Doug Jones.
He's Doug Jones in a cloak, and he has a dog. And both of these are very like distinctive, almost humanizing elements. And that plus the incessant like shots of like a train driving forward, but the tracks are littered with like personal artifacts, almost as if like a group of people on a walking tour all got run over, but not the bodies, just like backpacks, Polaroids, like pencils. Like it makes you think the Bye-Bye Man is going to be a person who's like elaborated on, who has some lore. Yeah. No, we learn nothing.
Yeah. Just that, you can't think it, you can't say it. I don't even think they explicitly say that when he knows your name, he kills you. I think we have to infer.
What?
I think we infer that.
When he knows your name, he kills you?
No, sorry. When you know his name.
His true name? Or like
when you know the Bye-Bye Man.
Oh, no, they talk about that.
Do they? Okay.
They say that he gets in your head or whatever.
Sure. Okay. So, let's talk about some fun facts.
Wait, I have a fun fact.
What's your fun fact?
Okay. So I saw, this is more of an anecdote actually. Yeah. I saw a documentary on Netflix. I don't know the title. It's about women in Hollywood and like inequality. And it had a lot of really big all-star names. Like I recognized a lot of people I wasn't expecting to, but I think there was like Natalie Portman was in it. Mm-hmm. And they interviewed all these people. That included Catherine Hardwicke, director of the first Twilight movie.
Nice.
Queen of the Blue Filter. And also the director of this movie. And I felt so bad because she's talking about like giving female directors a chance to express new ideas. And I was like, you're so right, but not you. Someone else. Maybe that's mean.
It's going to be really mean in a second.
Okay, good. Go.
Okay, so this movie was directed by Stacey Title. And this was her final film before her death at age 56.
No.
Yeah, she died of ALS.
Oh, no.
Yeah. I feel bad. Man. I mean, I saw her in, like, she was young. She was a young 56.
She really looked young. I'm surprised she was that old.
Yeah.
Wait, when you say she final, what else has she directed?
She's done a couple other, I didn't recognize them, but she did also direct a short called Down on the Waterfront, which was nominated for an Academy Award.
Awesome. Yeah. I'm going to look that up right now.
But yeah, that's tough that she talked about, giving women directors a chance, because this movie is terrible. I'm not going to sugarcoat it.
This movie is awful. I feel so bad. For what it's worth, Down on the Waterfront has stellar reviews. So good. Maybe her expertise lies elsewhere.
I will say, this movie was so bad that Spielberg couldn't have saved it. There was nothing that could have been done here. Every part of this movie's bad. So.
More fun.
Yeah.
Give me the fun.
The movie stars Douglas Smith as Elliot. You might know him from Ouija, Terminator Genesis, and Percy Jackson Sea of Monsters.
Does he play the Hades boy in Percy Jackson Sea of Monsters?
He plays Tyson the Cyclops. Yeah, I know.
I haven't seen any Percy Jackson movies, for the record.
I saw the one where they're like, yeah, fuck it, Alexandra Daddario, she's blonde enough. We don't care. So they also have Lucien Leviscant, who I think I might have mispronounced. You might know him from Celebrity Big Brother and Emily in Paris. Cressida Bonus, who is known for a 2-year relationship with Prince Harry.
Oh my.
That might sound sexist, but that's legitimately like the second line of her Wikipedia page.
All right. That is pretty noteworthy.
She does a lot of theater stuff.
Like physical theater?
Yeah, that just doesn't make it onto Wikipedia. It has Doug Jones, who has had small roles, and
he played the Bye-Bye Man, for the record. He was our creature.
That wasn't a joke when I said he's basically Doug Jones. He's literally just Doug Jones with makeup on.
It's Doug Jones.
Yep, he was in, let's see, Hocus Pocus. He was Abe from Hellboy. He was the Ice Cream Man in Legion, and he was the Frog Boy in The Shape of Water. Pretty much, if there's some dude who's...
Is the Frog Boy the boy from
the titular Shape of Water, yes.
Wow.
Yeah. If you need a tall, skinny dude to play an inhuman thing, Doug Jones is your guy.
I looked it up. He does not have Marfan syndrome.
Interesting.
I guess people assume that about creature actor tall skinny men, but
there is another
who does.
He does a lot of Spanish stuff. I don't remember his name. Not Javier Bardem.
There's a third guy, I think, who plays even more gangly creatures.
Yeah.
Anyways.
Yeah, Javier Batet. He was the leper guy in It. He was the crooked man from The Conjuring. He's the even spookier dude.
Yeah, exactly.
So, this movie was based on a chapter of the book, The President's Vampire, by Robert Damon Schneck. The chapter is called The Bridge to Body Island. And here's your lore. The Bye-Bye Man was an albino born in New Orleans in 1912, and he ran away as a child and became a derelict in the train yard. And when he went blind, he began cutting out people's eyes, which he would sew together and bring to life using voodoo. There's another motif of people's eyes missing in this, but it's never elaborated on.
There's a lot of hallucinations of loved ones with their eyes gouged out.
And so the monster that he created by sewing together all these parts became a seeing eye dog, the dog.
Fascinating.
Yep.
I wish the movie would tell me that.
This is literally a direct quote from IMDb. Several elements from the story, notably the dog and the motif of trains, remained for the movie, though their purpose is left undefined. It's a very nice way of putting it.
That's so kind.
Yeah. During one particular screening, the audience would laugh anytime Cressida Bonus said a line.
Oh no!
It sounds a little sexist.
No. Here's another early bad. She's British, right?
Yeah.
Her American accent is literally the worst I've ever seen in my life.
It's terrible.
It's okay to be British.
Yeah. Well,
I get it. It's set in Wisconsin. You don't want all your characters to be British, but she can be.
I will say this. part of the reason they didn't make her British is because all three of the main characters are not American. Doug Smith is Canadian, and Cressida Bones and Lucien Leviskin are British.
Yeah, but she can be British.
Yeah, that's true.
Fine. She who has the worst accent of all of them. The other two were passable. Elliot's was the best, but he's Canadian. So.
I can't even do a good impression of it.
It was so stilted and fake, and I won't even try.
Luckily, you know what it sounds like? It sounds like she doesn't speak English and they had to phonetically give her the lines. She's like, Elliot, the bye-bye man is coming. Man. And I'm like, you just make her British.
This is even worse. It helps that she has so few lines.
Mm-hmm. So, last fun fact is that the silliness of the concept of the bye-bye man led to some jokes, such as people calling him the pee-pee-poo-poo man.
Yup. That's another bad.
Yeah.
Oh, God. All these fun facts are actually bads.
So, let's you
start
ready?
With the good.
Yes. The good. Dun, dun, dun.
So, I tend to be generous because I like to find the fun in movies like this. I have a section for actual goods and then funny goods, some that we've already talked about. Actual goods, I like the idea of the opening. It comes with the paired bad, the opening being the montage of Larry, the reporter, shooting up his neighborhood. Mm-hmm. It comes with the bad of, it would have been so much better, so much more like arresting if it was one shot. As is in the movie, it's split up by random shots of a train driving down the tracks. And then it actually ends halfway through and we get the other half during an exposition dump when Elliot is talking to Larry's now old widow in the present day.
Faye Dunaway.
Yeah, it would have been really dramatic and like a good hook if it was done right.
Yeah, I think it was doomed, but if they were set on doing, you know what? No, I wouldn't have even done the one shot opening. I never would have done that because it takes place inside and outside, and that's a big reason why it sucks is because when they pull up to the house, it's crazy overexposed because they can't switch up.
It's possible to do a one shot that goes inside. I feel like I've seen it before.
I don't know. It takes a lot of talent and time and planning to do that specifically. And second, if we did it, just supposing that the logic of it says side, it should have played to its strengths by making it seem constant, intense buildup, and it should have been frantic. Whereas it almost appears premeditated.
It appears methodical, which is scary in its own way.
Right, but it just doesn't lend itself to the strength of the one-shot thing, is all I'm saying.
Really?
Yeah.
I feel like a methodical one-shot, like it, rather than like a frantic, like gripping, something that grabs you and drags you along. I feel like a methodical experience can also be scary in that, well, maybe not this one, but an actual scary one can feel sort of arresting, like you're being forced to experience this scary thing at like a slow pace.
I think the movie that did one shots the best was, there was someone who did it for an entire movie. Yeah, no joke. The entire feature-length film was filmed in one shot.
Well, what movie?
I don't remember because it wasn't very interesting. It was like it was a period piece, so okay. I had no interest in it. But the movie that does one shots the best has got to be Children of Men. And whenever they do that scene, it's always built to like a really intense scene that doesn't give you a break.
Yeah, and that's build up to something even bigger.
Yeah, and so the idea of him going house to house is kind of a bizarre idea. Why would he? It doesn't build up to much. As soon as he starts shooting people, you've reached the peak of what's happening. He's not acting like there's something chasing him and it's a race against the clock.
That's true. Then maybe, I don't know. Still, it's one of the more... It's like a more interesting part in an otherwise completely dull movie. Yeah, it's like it's like finding a piece of pyrite in dirt. Like it ain't gold, but at least it's sparkly. Another bad that's paired with this is I hate Larry's delivery.
Yeah.
He sounds like the nerd emoji looks, and that's just not good for what is trying to be one of the most dramatic scenes in the entire movie. Even when we flash back to him more later, it kind of kills the vibe.
Yeah.
Don't think it, don't say it.
It's just like that. First of all, I thought the best part was the coin through the drawer. That was a really subtle way of drawing more attention to it in a non-supernatural way.
Mm-hmm.
Is like,
it feels almost natural.
Yeah, there's a hole in this. Oh, that explains why this coin has been doing weird stuff.
Yeah.
But it was a very natural, like, well, why don't I just see what's in this?
Yeah.
It isn't like, do not open, this box will kill you. And they're like, huh, neat. Wonder what's in it.
It also felt like, I mean, maybe this was what happened, but it almost felt like it was luring him towards it.
Yeah.
Which I guess is what happened, because the first time the coin falls, it's unprompted.
Yeah.
Anyways, it reminded me of Hitman when you drop little gold coins to attract attention.
I liked Doug Jones as the Bye-Bye Man. I don't have any more thoughts on that. That was my full note.
Okay.
I actually have this as a good. Elliot listens to the sex way too long. when he's like, after the seance,
when John and Kim are fucking.
And he's like hearing noises. He's like, what is that? And he comes downstairs. It is a scraping. He's in the right for following the noise. And then he just hears the moaning. And he's like, oh, my bad. And then just sits there for like 1 Mississippi, 2 Mississippi, 3 Mississippi, 4 Mississippi. Like, all right, I should get out of here.
Fair.
And that was kind of encapsulating what I liked about the movie.
The awkwardness?
It was a little awkward. It was goofy in a way that, in some ways it was goofy. Most of it was not intentional.
I will say the accidental goofiness is my favorite. Like the no scene with the train guy, the librarian getting hit by a car. Like, that's good stuff.
There's a scene where they're in the basement, and he's like, what do you think, Sasha? Are we going to move in? And she goes, yeah. And they're like, and just start making out. And John's standing there.
They're like Frenching while John looks.
And he's like, man, I guess she really likes the house, huh? Hi, guys.
John, who has a crush on Sasha.
Yeah.
Oh, God. This movie's a train wreck.
Yeah. The characters were pretty plain, but I still didn't have a problem telling them apart. Is like the art.
Do you normally?
I might be face
Is this a
blind,
face blind?
I think I might be face blind.
Carter's saying it helps that there's one tall white guy, one short black guy, and one girl with long hair.
It makes it really easy for me to recognize who's who.
Yeah.
I might be face blind.
This is a face blind friendly podcast. Holly's face blind too. I know. Yeah. I know what it sounds like.
The worst, one of the worst, like, face blind experiences I've ever had was in Godfather, because every fucking character is like Mediterranean skinned, white, dark hair,
slicked back hair,
generally little to no facial hair. I'm like, is this Al Pacino? Like, I can't tell.
It's hard, and you're a movie buff despite that.
Yeah.
We salute you.
It's mild. It's not like I can't tell, but it's tricky. There was one scene where he's talking about his famous dish. He's like, John's like, yeah, I'm a chef. You should try my butter pastinet. That was some...
It's a joke.
Yeah, it was a joke.
Yeah.
I thought it was funny. And then she goes, that is not a thing. And I'm like, thanks, Sasha.
Thanks, Sasha.
I couldn't tell.
She should have just rolled her eyes or something.
And been like, you can't have Love Actually.
What?
I don't know. Is that quote from Love Actually?
What? Did they say Love Actually?
I thought so.
Did they have a shitty title drop moment?
I thought so.
I love that movie. I'll have to look that up later. There's no time right now.
Yeah.
All right, I have some real goods.
Okay.
And these are throwing the movie a bone. Elliot shooting Sasha at the end instead of John. It's pretty much a discount Oculus scene, but it is the only time the movie does anything interesting with its hallucinations. So good job on, really anchoring it there at the end.
Did Oculus come out before this?
You know
Yeah,
it did.
yeah, it did.
In case you're wondering, I looked this up too. The Babadook also came out before this, which does the
Baba
premise
Man.
better. The Baba Man.
Yeah, and I hate the Babadook too.
You hate it?
Yeah, I do.
It's aight.
At its core, my issue with the Babadook is, and they're totally justified in feeling this way, it's just as a viewer, it is very obnoxious to watch
A screaming
the
child.
kid scream and the woman be stressed. I'm like, I don't fault them at all. They're going through a hard time. It's just not fun to watch.
That's fair. Another good. I like that the daughter couldn't read the nightstand at the end. I also like that Elliot, quote, figured out the Baba Man's weakness, but still failed. In both cases, they set up a really cut and paste, horror movie plot point, and then did, the exact opposite at the, right at the end.
Yeah, that was some decent subversion of tropes.
Yeah.
Horror movies love that, and then this is going to continue.
Yeah.
Which, to be fair, is a spooky concept.
It is.
It's no stranger than a happily ever after. But
I had actually forgotten that part of the plot, so I was genuinely worried for a second for the daughter at the end, and then was, relieved. And it's such a tropey thing for, ghosts oftentimes almost feel like a puzzle to be solved. You need to find out, the thing to do to appease the ghost or to thwart the ghost. And in this case, it was just don't be afraid. It runs off fear. And then it's no, it got him anyways.
I will say he had no reason to believe that fear was the driving motivator.
I know. But even if it was, it's a little more interesting because you could imagine that he was ready to not be afraid and beat the Bye Man, but then he shot Sasha in the stomach and sort of freaked out and lost his cool.
Yeah, he just executed her.
Yeah, sucks.
So I'm out of good. I've been out of good for a while and bluffing.
Oh wow, I got a few more, but they're so generous still. Let's see. The brother and his daughter were the only good actors in this movie.
They weren't great. They were acceptable.
Maybe they just look good by comparison.
Also, the daughter was terrible. I will not
Really?
tolerate. She was a terrible child actor.
Really?
Daddy, you know I can't read in the dark. What am I, a flashlight?
I thought her lines were really weird, but I didn't hate her.
Virgil acted he was a solid actor.
He was solid. Maybe in this cast of Brits and Canadians pretending they're Wisconsinites. I don't know. I like Wisconsin. I have a lot of family in Wisconsin. It's kind of, I like it.
Yeah.
That's it. That's a good.
Yeah.
They do the nightstand with the words "Bye Bye Man" carved into the drawer is what starts this whole curse going again. And I always think that that's kind of shitty. Whoever heard of a haunted nightstand? But they do take the time to show Larry scrawling all over his walls and furniture during the flashback, including specifically showing him put something in the nightstand and it being covered in writing. So at least they establish the nightstand.
Mm-hmm.
That's the least they can do.
Yeah.
And at one point when the Bye Bye Man is haunting the house, there's some fancy furniture, including a scene of a dog chasing a deer, in a ye olde hunting party.
Yeah.
And when the Bye Bye Man's dog, is growling, the dog in the wallpaper moves its head and looks at Elliot.
And it turns into a
CGI dog.
Yeah.
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 I
have that too. It's just not in my good section.
I have 2 pseudo goods.
Okay.
We covered a lot of them.
Hit me with it.
There's a really cute lawn decoration at this creepy old house. It's a windmill that powers a lumberjack, raising and lowering his axe like a drinky bird almost.
That's pretty cool, actually.
It's really cute.
I like that a lot.
I want it for, my yard, if I had a yard. At the start, right when they move in, this is the scissors Chekhov's gun.
Yeah.
Elliot makes Sasha this absolutely horrendous love letter that is made in the ransom note style. He cuts out words from magazines and makes a shitty poem and also establishes her nickname as Bear, short for koala bear. Not a good nickname.
That's high up on my bad list.
Yeah, it's bad. But the ransom note is hilarious. This never comes up again, except when John goes to grab the scissors from Elliot's desk that I can only assume were left out from when he snipped up all those magazines. And
he's like, we have your son.
I love you, Sasha.
Yeah.
Send $100,000 to this address.
Koala bear.
Koala bear. All right, the last pseudo good, when at one point John uses what I think is Elliot and Sasha's bathroom, and there's a normal mirror, and then there's a mirror to the top right that I guess is like a makeup mirror, but more intense than I've ever seen on my life. This is like maybe a 3-inch by 6-inch rectangular mirror, and it is so zoomed in that all you can see in it is John's eye.
It has to have been a trick of the light from like where the camera was positioned, but
yeah,
it looked terrible.
It looked terrible. It looked like personified surveillance. Like if you imagine a TV screen surrounded by eyeballs, it looked kind of like that. Mm-hmm. All right, that's it.
That's it?
I'm out of even pseudo goods.
All right, so let's talk about the bad.
The bad.
My bad, in the same vein as what you were saying with the bathroom, Sasha and Elliot's bathroom just has a bead curtain for a door.
But it is in the master bedroom, and you know, if you're in a long-term relationship, you can be
take
in a room
big
with
old
someone.
dump with someone.
Not with them. Well, I mean,
it is with them. If all you're separating is string and beads.
Fine. Fine. Okay. I was about to say that you could, but I'm not sure if you would want to do every dump with someone else in the room. There are always going to be some dumps you don't want to share.
Yeah.
Or that you can't share.
Like post-coital. That was great, babe. Let me just wash up.
You take a dump?
No, but I'd like...
You'd like to?
I'd like the option, dude. I'll be right back, babe. Gotta wash up.
Wow. All right. The whole time cursing, going, man, I have to take a shit. Let's get this over with.
So yeah, the bead curtain for the bathroom is as stupid to me as like carpeted bathroom. It's just one of those things you don't do.
I've told you about the worst bathroom at my college, right?
No, you didn't.
So, the architecture building, or rather the civil engineering building, which is as close as you get to architecture with an engineering school, is the worst designed building on campus. It's so fucking funny. It's like one of the older ones, and it's kind of falling apart at the seams. Mm-hmm. But the first floor women's bathroom, carpeted. There's an armchair in it. And there's a pretty cool ye olde tampon dispenser where you like put a nickel in and pull a lever and one rolls out.
That's pretty cool.
It's pretty cool. Oh, I don't know if the toilet has like a stall door or anything. I think it's just out there. But the fucking armchair. Anyway.
That's the funniest thing is so you have witnesses.
Yeah. And so they can relax.
Yeah.
Stress-free zone here. All right, I have a bad that we've already talked about.
Yeah.
Everyone knows this already, but the Bye Bye Man is just too silly of a name. I'm of the strong mind that going into a horror movie with the right mindset is just as important as the execution. Mm-hmm. And your movie being about the Poo Poo Man, it's an awful way to set the mood. Yeah. It begs you not to take it seriously.
Immediately you don't take it seriously. Yeah.
It doesn't help that there's memes circulating around. Yeah. The poster of this movie, but with like, don't think it, don't say it, edited into something else, or just a Bye Bye Man changed to the Poo Poo Man.
Yeah. And that was out of their hands, but that's still a huge knock on the movie.
What do you mean, out of their hands?
How could Stacy Title have possibly controlled that? The Pee Pee Poo Man.
Oh, yeah, she could have named the movie something else. I'm saying The Bye Bye Man is a bad name at its core.
That's fair.
Even if it wasn't memed on, it's not scary.
It really isn't.
Almost, it's better sometimes if you don't name these entities.
Mm-hmm.
Or at least not so upfront.
Yeah. We're seeing that a lot in horror nowadays, is they're making less of a deal of classifying it. Which is good, because inherently, when you classify it, you make it less scary.
The known isn't scary.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's kind of why I like haunted house stuff. Is, you know, they're just kind of ghost-like things.
Yeah,
you don't need to know. Maybe it's a little demonic, but whatever. So I already talked about it, but the train and the dog are never explained. It's just truly unforgivable, considering how much. What, do you want a pen?
I do.
All right.
This one's out of ink.
All right. It's just truly unforgivable, considering how much the dog and the train are featured in this movie.
Mm-hmm. Unforgivable is really the right word. It just, I don't know. They're literally wasting screen time by featuring the train and the dog so much, neither of which are inherently scary. In fact, the dog has some of the worst CGI I've ever seen in a, past 2010.
The scene in which Elliot's sister or niece is like investigating a door, and the dog literally just pokes its head out from the other door and then pulls it back in.
I didn't see that,
it was
actually.
So obvious. There's a great transition. I'm gonna get to that. It's so obvious, like, that they couldn't afford to have the full body be visible, and that's why it pulled its head back in. I'm glad you mentioned that you didn't see it. The movie has so much terrible camera work. Like, that scene in particular, on the far right side of the screen, she's opening a door, and on the far left side of the screen, a dog pokes its head out. So, like, you have no idea where to look. They're on the two polar opposites of the screen.
Counterpoint.
Yeah.
I don't think it's intentional in this movie. But I love it when there are sort of scary Easter eggs, like, in Haunting a Hill House when there are ghosts in the backgrounds of shots, or like in Ouija 2, where like out of focus in the background, you see someone being like possessed and making like a genuinely scary like face or like movement. Mm-hmm. Like, that's scary because, another thing this movie does is it's so upfront about like the monsters. I say the monsters. The Bye Bye Man and his dog are almost never, like, obscured. You see them in full light whenever they appear.
Yeah. In,
like, full focus of the camera in the middle of the shot. Sometimes they even linger with the Bye Bye Man just, like, pointing at someone. And another thing that can help make your creature more scary is giving people less time to look at it clearly. Mm-hmm. Especially if your special effects budget is not all there. Mm-hmm.
Ugh. Yeah. There's also that weird kettle shot where he's like, I'll make you some tea, babe, because you're British. I mean, Wisconsinite. and then he like makes the kettle, and there's just a close-up of the kettle, so you see his reflection, and it's the stupidest thing you've ever seen.
I forgot that.
It just... Anytime the camera had to look at anything, it was terrible.
Here's one. Mm-hmm. Kim, our goth girl who leads the seance, shows up again when Elliot goes to her. As soon as Elliot figures out that like everyone who knows the name is in danger, he goes to Kim's house. That's where they, she does her whole hammer thing, and they drive, and then she gets hit by a train. Kim shows up, gives, I want to call it an exposition dump, but it's almost all things we've already known or could infer, and then is hit by a train within 5 minutes of being like reintroduced to the movie. Kim exists to be hit by that train.
And that was when the guy goes, No! Elliot's like crash explained is the most ham-handed thing I've ever heard. John is like, yo, he made me look smart and I made him look ugly or something like that. But he's like, but after the crash, he took care of me. Which, by the way, so first of all, that's insanely obvious. Second of all, John said that. He's like, after the crash, he took care of me.
Elliot took care of John?
Elliot's parents' crash, he took care of me. And then he goes, talk shit about my boys, folks, you're done.
Oh my god, wait. That leads their like we're brothers relationship felt so ham-fisted.
Yeah.
John felt like a shitty little hype man, but then he's also like lusting after Sasha, like actively.
Yeah.
They are I don't know.
But I just can't get over the fact that like they messed up.
No, that doesn't make
Whose
sense.
parents died.
I don't know if they messed it up. Maybe we're just not getting it.
And I mean,
No,
if
it
neither of
doesn't
us
make
can get
sense.
to the bottom of that simple sentence, that's on the writers.
Yeah.
It's not our fault for not being able to figure out what the inside implication of that sentence is.
Yeah.
The dialogue was terrible, and honestly, some of the best parts of this movie were when they said just super stupid things. Like, there's one where they're in a greenhouse. She's talking to like their landlord.
Named
she's
Mr.
like,
Daisy. He works at the greenhouse. His name is Mr. Daisy.
I
He
didn't
looks
pick up
like
on
an
that.
axe murderer.
I didn't pick up on that. She goes, man, it's chilly. And he goes, it's not cold at all. In fact, it's quite hot.
It's a hot house, dear.
There's just so many stupid lines.
Speaking of stupid lines, I have a peeve.
Like girls who wear hats indoors are crazy.
Yeah, that's bad. This is worse. They use the phrase, so a few times throughout the movie, you know, the curse of the bye-bye man, they'll like zone out and like see a hallucination. When Elliot and Sasha do this together, like in the same room, the other will say like, you okay, babe? You went away for a second there. And went away is just the most unnatural thing.
Yeah.
Like, unless they have a history of entering this fugue state or zoning out, it's so weird. They say it exactly 3 times in the movie, and each time it like prickled me.
The only time I can think of that actually makes sense was in Fleabag, when she would like her going away was her talking to the audience.
Yeah.
And it was notable that a character noticed it because she was breaking the fourth wall.
Yeah. So Fleabag is British.
Yes.
I bet it's a British saying that they needed to not include
do
for
British
these
people
Wisconsinites.
go away? Like, if you and I were just hanging out and I was kind of staring off, you wouldn't be like, you okay, Carter? You went away.
You went away there. Are you thinking thoughts, Carter?
Yeah, my issue isn't the phrasing of which they said.
It's so odd.
There's one line where John, who I think we mentioned is race, he's black, he goes, all these dishes are white, I'm just saying.
Was that a comment about race?
It might have been. It's hard to tell because it's such a stupid sentence.
I just thought it was a really poorly written line.
Guys, look at the color of these plates. I interpreted it as a
God.
white plates. Come on. And I'm like, bro, you're in Wisconsin.
You're in Wisconsin. I have a very big bad.
Okay, let's hear it.
I have a core bad of this movie.
A crad, yes.
A crad. And this ties into some of the dialogue just being awful. This movie is only an hour and a half.
Yeah.
And it wastes so much screen time. And when I say waste, I mean literally crumples it up and throws it out the window. There were 3 separate scenes that just wax philosophical in ways that have almost nothing to do with the plot.
They're like, how can we erase the bye-bye man and make him disappear?
If you remove all references from the past, it's like it never happened at all.
And I'm like, this is a very grounded thing, is when you know the name, he kills people. Let's get rid of the name. We're not like making him disappear from reality.
Mm-hmm.
It was...
And there's another shitty scene where John walks into class late and like looks on his phone and scrolls through his... He opens his photo
phone app. He's just looking at photos.
And he starts looking at his pictures, which like, it's not even memes. He's just looking at pictures he took and they...
At like the party, he's just looking at like him, Sasha, and Elliot, and he's like,
Yeah, those were the days. Anyways, the supposed spook is those turned into pictures of the bye-bye man ending on a live photo of the bye-bye man like standing in a boxcar with his dog. Anyways.
Just reminding you, they did not explain the trains.
They did not explain the trains. And then, but this is a philosophy class season, and the movie spends several minutes just showing us the lecture that's being given. And the professor's like, if I remove one atom from this wall, it's still a wall. Yeah. But what if I remove all the atoms one by one? When is it no longer a wall? Like, that has nothing to do with this movie.
Wouldn't that be interesting in a movie about, like people going crazy or something?
Ooh, like fraying sanity. Like, at what point when is, like, the crossover? When are you actually insane?
Yeah.
That would be interesting.
That would be neat. But in this, it's like you're being haunted by the bye-bye man.
The poo-poo man.
The pee-pee-poo-poo man.
And then the last time this happens, when Trinity interrogates Elliot, she's like, at first, before she finds Kim's suicide letter, she's like, before she's told about Kim's suicide letter, she's like, what were you doing, dude? Tell me. Why are you chasing her with a hammer? Like, I want to help you out.
It's bloody, bro.
Bloody, bro. You have a scholarship. Like, you have no history. Like, I want you to get off.
It was just like the interrogation greatest hits. Is she's like, if you can't help me, my hands are tied. Things could go very bad for you. Like, the most generic shit.
But after that, after she gets the suicide note, she's like, okay, like, you're free, but, like, what's going on here? There's something more. You've been, like, muttering, don't think it, don't say it this whole time. And he's like, officer, what if you came home from the worst day of your life, a horrible massacre or something like that, and your kids asked, Mommy, how was your day? Would you tell them, or would you spare them the hurt? I'm protecting you, officer. Yeah. I'm keeping this thing out of your head. And instead of being like, that's very concerning, son, you need to tell me more, she's like, you're a good kid. I'm gonna let you go.
It's such a stupid cut. Like, all that philosophy was just to be like, is it okay to sometimes not tell the whole truth to protect people? I'm like, really? You needed a whole anecdote for this?
It was supposed to be dramatic, too. It's just, nothing in this movie is earned.
Yeah. It shouldn't have been dramatic, because we, as the audience, were in on his secret, so him keeping secrets from her is just not interesting to us.
I think it was supposed to be profound.
It definitely wasn't.
I know, but the way they had the camera slowly zooming on him as he talks to the camera.
Yeah.
That's it for my bads.
Oh, I got more.
You got more? Keep going.
Yeah, the sound design was just terrible. Every jump scare and, like, build up was the most cliche, like, violin increasing in pitch noise you've ever heard. Oh, yeah.
Some of them didn't even have good stingers. Like, some of them just happened.
There was the whole X-Files ass ending music.
Yup.
There was some fake laughter at one point where I remember what they're like, okay, we need a moment of silence for the seance, and everyone's quiet, and one of either Elliot or John moaned, and then he goes, It
sounds like Beavis and Butthead.
It was like Squidward laughing.
I have two more, actually. Okay. I remembered them.
All right. Before we go any further, I would just like to say that Ralph the Movie Maker on YouTube has a video about the Bye-Bye Man where he breaks down the more technical aspects, and it's very interesting. He spends a lot of time on the one-shot opening, and that's part of why I'm so harsh about it, is hearing him describe why it's bad is like, he makes it seem almost...
That's my go-to-bed alarm.
He makes it seem silly that people didn't notice. And so
didn't notice what? How bad it was?
Yeah, like the overexposed thing. It should never have gotten to that point. Anyway, totally recommend it. Ralph the Movie Maker. He does a Bye-Bye Man episode. It's really funny. I recommend it. I'll plug it again at the end.
Good. All right. My last bad.
Yes.
I'm going to move one to the spooky. Sort of. So there's a super obvious setup for a jump scare where Elliot has this massive cloak hanging in his bedroom. Yes! I'm talking like a 6-foot-long cloak with a pointy hood and sleeves. And the obvious jump scare, which happens later, a few scenes later after this is revealed, is the Bye-Bye Man like materializes into that cloak and like walks towards him while pointing at him.
Yeah.
And why does he own that cloak? He never wears it.
Yeah.
It's so unnatural, though. It's not a piece of normal clothing. Maybe it's because he's like an English major or something, but
It was just, it was so obvious right from the start what that was trying to set up. I thought it was weird that they portrayed John as like this temptation when they were pretty similar in personality and attractiveness.
yeah.
Is they were both like good-looking young men who like joke around with each other a lot.
I mean,
It
they,
isn't-
they emphasized his abs a lot. We got some like naked, like pelvis up shots of John, like tempting Sasha.
Yeah,
like,
but like they didn't make it seem like she was bored with Elliot or anything. Like he was a nerd. It was just
she's a nerd too, though.
yeah. It was just weird that they're like
Yeah. No, wait. They did drive home. They drove this home earlier, and I thought it was really odd. During the party, John's like, Elliot, let's go play baseball. And Elliot's like, jocks.
yeah, always playing baseball, and then they played on like a comically small. It was
Sasha hits a Nerf football with a baseball bat. It flies like maybe 20 yards. No one reacts except for looking at it. And they're like, oh, baseball.
they were so close. She couldn't have swung it without hitting someone. It was comical how close they all were.
Counterpoint to them trying to play up John as a temptation. Unlike the others, Sasha is just befuddled by the hallucinations of naked, sexy John. She's like, what? or like gives him a weird like look and then like looks at Elliot and looks back.
He's
Like,
forget him.
forget him,
Check
baby.
these abs.
Uh,
So at the very end, not when Elliot mistakes Sasha for John, but when they were like running around, just the two of them, Sasha and John, thinking that John was Elliot and Sasha was Kim, it didn't build to anything. Like, it
No,
wasn't like
it
they
didn't.
thought that they were having sex, like they had sex thinking that they weren't cheating, and then Elliot got mad. It was like it just made their lives a little bit more
you
confusing
mean
for
at
a
the
bit.
end where it ends in the scissor stab?
No, just before that, when she's like, Elliot, I'm feeling a lot better, and John's just absolutely losing his shit.
Yeah.
It
Yeah.
didn't play a role.
Yeah.
And then I have one last note, which is that there's one scene in which it's supposed to be foreshadowing. There's a group of 3 friends standing on the train tracks naked, and the train runs over them.
Wait, what?
Yeah.
Is that in like a vision?
Yeah, I guess so.
That's clearly Elliot, John, and
it's
Sasha.
supposed to be. It's clearly not them.
It's, I don't know what you want. It's a tall white boy, a short black boy, and a girl with long blonde hair.
No, but if you look at it, it's not them.
I'm sorry, I couldn't
They-
recognize them by their butts.
You didn't pause it?
No. They're naked and facing away from the camera, by the way. This is a really
I recognize
unnecessary
them by
butt
their
shot.
butts. I'm face blind. I'm not ass blind.
You were specced into that?
Yeah. All right.
All
Are you done with the bad?
Yeah.
The spooky. So before we get into spooky, I forgot to tell you this during the intro. I think I've actually already told you this, but I forgot to tell the viewers. I was at Encore Casino the other day, and we were just doing roulette. I lost an absurd amount of money without winning. Like, the chart wasn't like up and down, trending down. It was just down, 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 down. And I'm like, come on! Like, I'm betting 50-50 shit. I should be winning a little bit. But anyway, where I was sitting, there was just this absolutely deafening thing. I could hear it from a couple floors away. A James Bond slot machine. It's like, doo-doo-doo-doo-doo! It's like that, just blowing your eardrums out. We go on like a 10-minute journey to try to find it. And eventually we track it down, and I'm playing it, and I end up winning like the jackpot. It wasn't that much, but it was a nice win. I'm like, nice. It blows my eardrums out with the James Bond theme. And I move one machine to the left and switch from the GoldenEye one to the Casino Royale one. And it's like, you've unlocked special mode. And I'm like, awesome. And it goes, draw James Bond to unlock James. It gave me 5 cards. It goes, draw James Bond to unlock James Bond.
I thought you meant draw like with a stylus and a tablet.
It's like, draw Le Chiffre to unlock Le Chiffre, and Felix to unlock Felix. So I draw James. I go to draw for James Bond. I draw Lashif, and I'm like, oh boy, all right, I see where this is going. It goes to Lashif. I think I draw James Bond, which is hilarious. I'm like, okay, my last chance. I gotta draw Felix, and I draw Felix. No, I draw a multiplier, and it hits me with the multiplier. And then I get Felix, and I just clean up. Like, it's making so much noise that people stop what they're doing and walk over to investigate.
See, your happy gambling experience has turned into good word of mouth.
Yeah.
For the vice of gambling.
Yeah.
And Encore Casino Boston.
Yeah. In Mass, they recently legalized sports betting or whatever, and it's awesome.
Have you seen the draft?
There's so many. The ads are obnoxious, but I've been pounding this drum for years.
I love that they have it's like Wario and Waluigi. They got a really short guy and a really tall, skinny guy, and they're both like, hey, Boston.
Yeah.
Sports betting is legal.
Yeah, that's right. Was that the... I know that dude. He's like a character actor.
Oh.
Yeah. He's...
The tall one looks like he has a cold. His nose is very red. Anyways.
All right. So where are we?
We're at the spooky.
I got one thing. The window crack scene made me jump. He's like staring at the window trying to spy on Jean and Sasha. And then the window cracks and the Bye-Bye Man appears in it. And granted, it did so for stupid reasons. I was like, it was impossible to see because of the lighting, but it did make me jump.
I have actually nothing.
Yeah.
Nothing in this movie. I have one thing to talk about, but like, I kept track of like the time, like the jump scares per time. And at the 1 hour mark, there was 3 jump scares and 1 attempt at a scary scene in the library. None of which landed for me at all.
Yeah.
I think this movie like really assumed that hallucinating scary stuff and the Bye-Bye Man were like inherently scary, and just showing them happening would do anything for the audience.
Yeah. A lot of movies don't feel the need to try to scare you. This movie didn't feel the need, but definitely should have.
Yeah. I will say, as someone with anxiety, the idea of like an info hazard, like learning about something and then you're in danger, is spooky. The Bye-Bye Man is not a good example of this, but like, I don't know, like at the end of Rings, when Samara sends like the video all over the internet. Is her name Samara?
It is, but I don't think it's Rings. Do you mean Ring?
No, I thought it was Rings. I thought the scene where the girl is possessed and like...
I think you're thinking of... Yeah, you are. That's right.
Yeah.
God, there was a remake. I was thinking the Alien thing.
Oh, no.
Because
like,
there's a Ring too.
Oh, boy.
But yeah, you're right.
Yeah. So in Rings, where Samara sends like the cursed video all over the internet, like in the age of the internet, the idea that like if you read something on a Reddit post or like open an email, you are suddenly cursed, like irrevocably, that's a little scary. There are so many things that do this better, though.
I would argue that that's far less scary in this age because we've been exposed to so many of the like forward that our brains just file that like send to 10 friends or you're gonna die.
But it doesn't matter. As soon as you read the words, if it were real, Bye-Bye Man in an email, like your eyes skim over that before you have a chance to think, and then bam, you're cursed.
Yeah, I mean conceptually it's scary. Or
like it's like, you know, like a video, like media or conversation, you're like beaming thoughts into someone's head, which is normally harmless, but like if there was something you could say, like think of Lullaby.
Lullaby was a different kind of interesting.
I know it's a different kind, but like the idea that someone else can just run up to you and say, Bye-Bye Man, and now you are in mortal danger. The movie isn't long enough. Like this, expanding on this never would have been a good idea. All the characters in the movie are, you know, very, except for John for some reason, very conscious and worried about like keeping it a secret. Yeah. But like, if there was someone who wanted to spread it and just walked into Times Square with a megaphone, like, I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, that's a scary concept. It's just, at a certain point, something becomes existentially scary, and it just, your brain's just like, well, I can't really spend time thinking about this or I'm going to freak out. Like,
of course.
Like the fact that we have enough nukes to destroy the planet is like, yeah, it's terrifying, but you can't live your life just thinking about that.
Of course.
Maybe there exists something where if someone tells it to you, you will die. But it's a little too conceptual. It's like, you're way more likely to die of just a heart attack way out of your control.
Yeah. And again, I'm not saying that that's a scary that this movie did. It's more of a scary that this movie reminded me of other things doing.
Yeah. What I think is interesting is I think we actually might have aged out of that. That like if you find something out, it can kill you.
How so?
Well, think about Ring, for example, is one of the good examples of that. It's like you still had to look for it. That's still a...
Like, you mean you had to watch the video?
Yeah.
Or...
Well, you had to seek out the knowledge. Is an important part of horror is still you...
But in Rings,
to find it.
In Rings, it's when she starts sending it to people and it shows it as like a pop-up.
Right, and that was silly. I laughed at that scene.
It was silly because it's like, I don't know, it felt like that fakey internet.
Yeah.
That... But anyways, like the idea of just, like you're reading the news and there's a website pop up and now you're fucking cursed. It's
just too silly for me. The internet's too recent an invention for it to be that scary.
Someday I'll bring Cairo on here. We'll watch our scary internet movie.
I mean, we've already seen it.
We have?
Fear.com.com.
No! Yeah. Fear.com.com is awful.
Fear.com.com is amazing.
It's not even about the internet.
It's not even about Fear.com.
No, it isn't.
So, for those of you who don't know, there's a movie called Fear.com. It's terrible. But the best part of it is that in the movie, they typed out, like, the website that they would go to was not Fear.com. It was Fear, DOTCOM.com.
Because Fear.com was taken.
They had to get Fear.com.com.
If you go to Fear.com.com, I don't know if it's still active, but at one point there was a real tie-in website with the movie. Fear.com.com sucks.
I can't wait to watch Fear.com.com.
It's so bad.
Are you ready for some overall thoughts?
Yeah.
Okay, so my overall thoughts. First of all, this is going to be off Netflix tomorrow.
Tomorrow at time of recording. So you listening this,
you're going to be a week late.
You can't watch it on Netflix no more.
They're going to be like 2 weeks late, actually.
Yeah, sorry.
Yeah, so other notes, found this in my rewatch tab.
What?
Where it's like, did you enjoy this? Would you like to rewatch it? It's like Seinfeld, New Girl, The Bye Bye Man. I'm like, yeah.
You mean before you watched it today?
I watched it a couple months ago.
Wow.
So this movie's terrible, but it's like the perfect amount of bad to the point where it's a fun experience. I would never say I sincerely enjoyed it. I enjoyed laughing at it.
I'm going to counterpoint. Maybe it's because I've already seen it 3 times, though that was a few years ago. If I wasn't watching this for the pod and like poking it for fun, I would not have enjoyed this at all and definitely would have wanted my time back.
Well, you enjoyed it. We enjoyed it the first time.
That's true.
Yeah.
I guess it's fun the first time, but there is almost nothing to this movie. It is just truly bad. I didn't say this for Bone Snatcher, but I'm saying it now. I do want my time back for rewatching The Bye Bye Man.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I didn't have fun rewatching it, but I had quite a bit of fun watching it the first time.
The first time it was fun. Watch it with friends, though. Laugh at it together.
Okay, are you ready for the... Oh, I didn't have my Ralph B. Bones Memorial Line highlight. I'm gonna go with girls who wear hats indoors are crazy. Because it's true. Pay attention. Next time you see a girl with a hat indoors... Call her crazy her face and see how she reacts.
And make sure she knows it's because of the hat.
And because of the Bye Bye Man that he says it.
Bye Bye Man.
So, my rating for this movie, I give it a 1 out of 10 on quality. That'd be one rewatch before I lose my temper. But for the experience, you with friends with some beer and popcorn, that's gotta be like 8 train crashes out of 10.
Really?
It's a fun watch. It's not good, but it's fun.
All right. My real rating is 1 hound out of 10. Yeah, I can get behind it. I'll say with friends, suitably drunk.
Yeah.
Maybe 7 poo-poo men out of 10.
Yeah. 7 peas per poo.
Yes. It's fun to mock, but that's it.
Yeah. Yeah. We are not, oh, Jesus Christ. I like glanced over and for an instant the recording button wasn't on.
Oh my God.
And I like had full on heart pains.
You've been talking to herself for an hour and a half.
Oh my gosh. I don't think I'd tell you. I think I'd just table it.
Cut the episode and move on.
Yeah. Sometimes you just take L's and that's how it be.
That's okay.
But yeah, it's fun to watch with friends when you're drunk. Don't watch it sober and don't pay too much attention to it. All right. Anything else?
Nope.
Okay. I already talked about my James Bond slot machine, so I have nothing more to talk about.
Did I talk about me narrowly avoiding?
You didn't. Why don't you tell us about that?
All right. So Ashley was going to give me a ride to the train station on Monday because we both work on the same like train line into Boston. And I'm perpetually like 5 minutes late to things, as I was to this recording. And so Ashley arrives 5 minutes early and she's like, I'm here, understand if you like need a sec. And I'm like, okay, I'll be right down. And so that was at 7:25. And at 7:30, the prescribed time when I should have been ready, she texts me, just kidding, my mom has COVID. So if I was on time, I would have been exposed, or could have been exposed.
You've made it this whole time without getting it, right?
No, I got it.
Oh, you did?
Holly and I got it in like summer of last year. It, like, we both came out fine.
Yeah.
We just didn't do anything for 2 weeks.
Yeah.
Lucky me.
Yeah, we were talking about this last night. My mom, when I got COVID for the first time and my mom's boyfriend got COVID for the first time, we were both on the flight from Iceland and my mom was sitting between us. And so for a while, we're like, isn't that kind of crazy just how much, like whatever we were exposed to, whatever we were exposed to, she must have been exposed to that. And then I've eventually spent so much time thinking about it that my theory, she was between us on the plane, we inhaled all of the COVID and protected her.
You did your part.
Yeah.
You hoovered it all up.
I'd do it again.
Wow.
This one's for you, Mom.
It's a good son. You really schwarped up the particles.
Yeah. I mean, I was breathing like a madman on that flight. You would not believe how much air I consumed.
Planes are expensive. You gotta inhale all the good plane air while you're on it.
Yeah. It's like hiking. You hike to get that high air, or you can get on a plane.
It's even higher altitude.
Also,
even better.
That flight was one of the worst experiences of my life.
Really?
Yeah. So I had like just gotten just full on dumped a week before. My sister convinced me to go out drinking with her in Iceland. I had the worst hangover of my life. I threw up in like 3 different buildings, one of which was the Icelandic airport. Then we landed, and then I threw up in Logan. And I'm like, the irony is not lost on me that the worst day of my life also might mathematically be the longest day of my life.
Oh my!
Because I was flying
with the time zone.
So my day was like probably like 30 hours or something.
You got condensed awful.
I was like, man, I was thinking I was having too much fun. If only I was just less happy. And that is, I think I've only thrown up in 3 airports. The other was the Dallas airport.
Cool.
Yeah, that was a rough one.
Was that on your business trip?
Yeah.
Your Red Bull bender?
Yes. So apparently you can ever so slightly OD on caffeine.
Right.
Not really OD, it's just if your body's not used to caffeine, you get nauseous. And I had been pounding coffee and Red Bull.
You were profoundly nauseous, though.
Yeah.
You were like, I don't even remember. I just remember thinking it was bad.
I was really nauseous. But then I purged in the Dallas Terminal C airport and felt better.
I have never thrown up in an airport.
It's good. You shouldn't.
It's
one of the worst places you can. There's no privacy. The floors are dirty.
You're usually on a tight schedule. Like, you have places to be. You don't have time to throw up.
Mm-hmm. What's the best place I've thrown up?
Oh, my best place.
Yep.
Behind your shed.
Yes, that was fun.
That was
a
great.
lot of fun.
It was on...
Force-fed you bread.
You force-fed me bread?
No, you chose to eat bread that we offered you.
Yeah. I don't remember that. I just had a lot of hard lemonades.
Yeah, that was fun. We were drinking and you were allowed to pour your own shot and then still somehow blamed me for it. You're like, Carter kept telling us to do shots. I'm like, I
was in a great mood that night.
It was a great night. We had some really nice champagne.
Mm-hmm. And it was around the fire. Good stuff.
That was a lot of fun.
But yeah, still not really down for hard lemonade.
Mm-hmm.
Oh,
it was honey whiskey.
Was it? I also had hard lemonade though. I remember that.
That might also be true.
My other notable throw up was on like graduation weekend. I split like a whole bottle of limoncello with a friend, and then I made it to the next morning, and like everyone's like, "Let's go get IHOP," and this was Mother's Day. Yeah. So all the IHOPs were packed. And after checking the second one and seeing it also full, I was like, you guys just dropped me off back home. Because I wanted to puke in my own bathroom rather than an IHOP one.
I don't think it was this past New Year, but one of these New Years, I woke up with truly feeling the worst. I think it was the Stephen King New Year we had.
That was great.
That might have been the worst I've ever felt my entire life. I woke up. Looked, it was like 8 a.m. I'm like, nope, next time. Went back to sleep, woke up around 11, and I'm like, I can take on the day now. I was like,
that's a good extra 3 hours of sleep.
I hit the snooze button on the worst day of my life, and it worked out.
That's a whole sleep cycle.
Yeah. All right, so that's enough about vomit for now. We'll have plenty of time to talk about it. Anything else? Anything to plug? Your cat Newton?
I don't have anything
to
plug.
Don't plug your cat Newton, but
I have
if you want to talk about your cat Newton.
I have a very cute cat. He doesn't have any internet presence, so no, you can't see him. Mm-hmm. The end.
Yeah, just find a dark shadow and put two googly eyes on it.
Find a black cat, and it probably looks like him. Find a handsome black cat.
One of Olive's best qualities, this is going to be it before we sign off, but Olive's best quality is that she has an ever so slight lazy eye.
Oh, so she does?
Yeah, so that like I'll be in the light and I'll look over and I'll just see or I'll just see one glowing eye
because the other one's off. No,
the other one doesn't reflect right.
That's so cute.
Yeah,
my favorite Olive story is when she got trapped in the closet.
Yeah. Oh my god. One time she was in my mom's closet for like 3 days, and I remember on like the second or third day, I literally opened every door in the entire house, and I still didn't find her, which means that she was still hiding in there. Is that she'd been without food or water for like 2 days. I opened it and she's like,
I'm good.
Nah. I'm just gonna wait on this one.
Sometimes Newton gets stuck in the closet. My cat, in case I forgot to say his name.
I said it, don't worry.
Good. And within like 5 minutes, he's like sort of pawing at the door, and I take great comfort in knowing that he'll never have an Olive experience.
Yeah.
All right, I think we're done for realsies.
I think so too. Next week, hopefully Ashley will be back, and we will be watching Sick. It is not yet. It's entirely possible that she doesn't have COVID yet and will. And that will push back that timer, but, maybe. I thought it would be ironic if we recorded Sick. But,
while she's sick.
Yeah, but then I also thought it might be equally ironic if we recorded Sick when she returns. So figured I'd just save it.
That's fair.
Yep. Maybe see you back if she's dead. We'll see.
Hopefully not.
Yeah.
Good luck, Ashley.
Yeah. Fighting for her life. Anyway, do you want to be the one who says stay spooky?
Sure. Stay spooky.
Horse Sucks is brought to you by me.